Okay, so today I decided I would bring y'all over to the cemetery. This is the biggest cemetery in this area, and I'm standing up here where the mausoleum is so we can get a view of this direction. See if there's any new graves around here. This is a town of like 40,000 people. This looks like it might be new down there. We'll walk down there in a second. And I was looking inside here, inside the mausoleum. I just see like 2010, 1976. I don't know, I can't see from here and I can't get in because I don't have a key. Anyway, so let's go down here. Let's see how many people are dying in the pandemic. Oh, here's a fresh one over here. 2 of them. It's a little cooler today, I think. Or it's not as humid, I would say. (1931 to 1920) is this grave right here. This person died Christmas time. Poor thing. It's not that old either. This one is 1938 to 2020. It doesn't have a date on it. It's not as for this one's super fresh over here. So I would say this one back here in the middle is the oldest of these two. In fact, this one, Serrano and Marilyn Kelly, looks like they're about the same time period. As you look at the plants, how they're growing at the same rate, and the color of the soil. So these both look like they died in December. This one is got to be earlier than that because it's even more grown up. This one's pretty new, like say the flowers are still on there, so this is the last couple of days. This one's someone's son, so they're probably young. There isn't even a marker yet, so that's probably within the last few days. This one is, flowers are still on it, nothing, no marker or anything, no grass. Well, a little bit, see right there. A few weeks, maybe a month, I guess. So we've got one that's fresh, right, in the last month or so. Actually, the last few days. The other ones are older, like around December. And that one, I don't know, I think that one is probably, I'd say 3-4 months old. Maybe less. Maybe the flowers look so bad because it's Texas and it's hot here. This is a fresh one. This person, 1971 to 2020. So not quite 50 years old. Still doesn't seem like much of a pandemic to me. Like, don't we have mass graves from the historical pandemics and things like that? Like when you go to Ireland and you look at the potato famine graves, which is really the Irish genocide, or the British government's genocide of the Irish people. Still have the mass graves there. So this one is a relatively fresh one in the last week or so, and 86 years old. Rest in peace. These ones are within the past year or so, well, probably 6 months, 8 months. But you can see they already have markers. Oh, actually, interesting. That's a 1999 death. Interesting. This person died May 23rd, born in 1926, so 94 years old, almost 95. Lots of old folks biting it. Sad. I don't have any grandparents left. They all passed away. Guess that's how you know you're getting old too. Right? Your parents get old and you do too. Or you end up being your parents' parent. It's kind of how things are getting to be these days. Got in a big fight with my father today, and I ended things permanently, which for my mental health is probably good. He's always been such an abusive son of a bitch. Anyways, he's so unrepentant as well. Guy's never apologized for anything. But when you're a psychopath and you can do nothing wrong, and you think it's cool to like strip your children naked and bait them with dowels and whatever else you have around the house, beat them black and blue to where they can barely walk, you know, can't really expect much. I actually provoked him on purpose to prove a point, because my mom always says that he loves us, and by his response, I know he doesn't. Tell you what, people live a long time in this area. Lots of 90-year-old people. Or more here. So we're going back towards the older part of the cemetery here, where you have the really pretty headstones. Hope I don't get chiggers. That's gonna suck. Forgot. I've been living in places where there aren't any chiggers for so long that it's not good. I always forget. So anyways, my father, he was pretty abusive, and his brother is in the insane asylum for trying to strangling my grandma and attacking my father with an axe. So I've had a really amazing family life, as you can imagine. My uncle lived with my grandparents, and growing up was like terrifying, not only from my uncle but from my father. My father's not schizophrenic, but I would say, like my uncle is, my father is, I would say he's a borderline personality. That's what he presents as. I've always been really interested in psychiatry, growing up with crazy people everywhere. I don't see anything new over there. Let's go this way. So my father and my uncle were left the farms by my grandma. But my grandma left $800,000 to my uncle who's in the insane asylum, and half of the farms to him and the other half to my dad. And since my dad has always been the type of guy who doesn't like to work or do a damn thing, you know, he doesn't have any money, and I don't know, he said something smart to me a week ago, and I had explained to him that I had bought my sister a house because she was getting divorced, and he said, well, why didn't you buy me a house? And I told him, I didn't buy you a house because you're supposed to be a man. A man is supposed to provide and protect his offspring, not be like the enemy. I guess he didn't like to hear about himself. So he said that he was going to leave everything to St. Jude's. And I told him that he should make sure someone is there to pick up his body, because it won't be me when he dies. And I mean it. Plus, he already sold his half of the farms as it is, so there's nothing for me and my sister to inherit in the first place. You know, he thinks I'm stupid and I don't know what's going on around here. So, I don't know. Family. You certainly can't pick your family now, can you? Guess you can pick who you marry and become family with. That's about as, and your friends, that's about as good as it gets. Otherwise, with family, you're just stuck like Chuck. Well, I would expect in a pandemic for there to be a lot more new graves, and I don't see anything. Except for over there in the front. I've always liked the cemetery. I know that sounds really crazy, but it's so... Cemetery is so peaceful, you know, people are afraid of the cemetery. But everybody here in the cemetery is dead. They can't harm you. It's the living you gotta worry about. So I guess I'm disowned now. I don't really give a shit. I don't know, I have a really hard time kissing up to people. Like I spent from age 18 to 41 trying to make things work with my dad, and you know, it's just impossible. So he is literally never, ever, 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 ever gonna change or have any remorse. I'm the only one who has any remorse, and I've killed that part of me. I don't have any anymore. Certainly not for cutting him off. Would have been nice to have those farms, though. I offered to buy them back in 2008. He wouldn't do it, you know, because I need the tax breaks because of the amount of money I make. And then I told him he could stay, you know, he could live there his whole life. Just let me have the farm so that, you know, Cassandra and I'll have something to inherit. Plus, I've always known the government was going to pull some shit like this. I didn't know that they were going to do it with a cold, but I knew they were going to go for, you know, everybody microchipped, forced vaccines, you know, that kind of thing. You know, martial law. I always knew that was coming. I just didn't know how they were going to accomplish it. And I should have figured it out because, you know, every election year there's some new virus that comes out. I mean, it was kind of apparent what they were going to do, and man, I missed it. And I'm usually on it. It's kind of depressing. But they got me. I didn't think it was going to be that. I didn't think anybody would have believed. I don't know. I never believed in any of these viruses anyways. Swine flu and avian flu, SARS, all that stuff. I didn't believe any of that stuff. Here's another part of this cemetery here. So I guess I gotta hand it to the elites. They even tricked me. Whew. That was a big old bee trying to get me. It's pretty weird. Oh, this just looks fresh because of this mulch they got on there. This guy was buried in 2016. They had me fooled. Look, crawdads. So when I was little, we used to go And you can get crawdads pretty easy out of these ditches with a piece of bacon on a string. And we would get a couple of crawdads and we'd fight them, you know. We'd put them next to each other and let them fight. And then we'd put them back in their holes. And then we'd come catch them the next day to play with them again. This is another one that looks fresh. 1939, this guy. His wife died in 2015. It's not that fresh though. This is probably 6 months. Still not seeing any new mounds out here. Is that one over there? Let's go check. I don't know how much time y'all think we've got before we have like mandatory lockdown and nobody's allowed to go anywhere without the mark, you know, the vaccine and the microchip. Probably a year, maybe. I mean, now that masks are going to be mandatory everywhere, as soon as they can get that passed and everybody starts following orders, you know, it's going to be, not too long before the vaccine comes out. This is a 2020 person, 1928 to 2020. It's pretty new. Last few weeks. Tell you what, how I think they're killing the old folks. You know, you get pneumonia. Instead of giving you antibiotics, they give you hydrochloroquinolone, which suppresses your immune system. Pretty easy. This one is 1944 to 2020. That one's pretty new, like yesterday probably, because those flowers aren't even wilted that much, or maybe even this morning. Sad. I would say that this whole thing, they're trying to get rid of, just like Hitler did with getting rid of the disabled people, and who's disabled to the government, people who aren't working anymore, the old folks, you know. It's sad because they worked their whole lives away, most of them, and paid into Social Security, unless you're like my father, who's a loser. But you know, people like my grandparents worked their whole lives, and then they want to get rid of you as fast as possible so they don't have to pay any Social Security. Let's see, do we see anything new? And I was thinking to myself today, I don't really have much to live for, you know, and so that's why I can afford to be a militant type person, right? Saying I'm not going to wear a mask and, you know, leaving my job, moving here. I can afford to do that because I don't have anybody depending upon me. But I was trying to be honest with myself today and asking myself, how would I be acting? Say if I even had a serious boyfriend, would I still be in New York City and, you know, playing the game because I wanted to stay around him? How would I be if I had a husband and children? What would I be doing? And I'd like to say that I'd be saying this is bullshit. I mean, I would hope that my husband and I would decide that one of us would at least stay home and homeschool the kids, because can't imagine sending my kids to these schools when they're going to be wearing masks from age 2. I mean, just unbelievable. And, you know, having to social distance all the time. Sounds like a total freaking nightmare for these poor kids. Really sad. But I guess people like me, it's easy for me to say, you should do this and you should do that. I don't know, part of it is that I don't have anything to really lose. People have nothing to lose are the most dangerous. But also, like, the flip side of this is that, you know, people have children and family to live for, and living like this is not life, right? What they're about to plan for us is total human slavery. It's what they got on the table. So I don't see anything fresh over here. They got total human slavery on the table, so it's almost, to me, it's like, why don't those people care more than I do? You know? I don't know, if everyone had refused this mask stuff in the first place, we wouldn't be here. But, you know, the idiot box tells you something and you believe everything. You believe those women on there are real women, even though they got 3 heads across the shoulders and a square skull, 90-degree shoulders, collarbones that you could, you know, change lug nuts with. The illusions have been going on for a very, very long time. I guess they've just started, man, look at this one, 1902. 1829 to 1902. Oh, look at this one, 1844. This person died. 1866 to 1884. I've always liked to come to these old cemeteries, and I think it's sad that they don't keep up these stones. What is this one? I can't even read it. 1884. Died. Yeah, there's some out like where I used to live in Gordonville, where I grew up, that are 1700s. It's pretty neat. These ones right here had been stripped. Looks like somebody put something new on here though. Yeah. Wow. Isn't that nice? 1841 to 1849. And somebody put a new piece of granite on there. Isn't that nice? These Shannon here. Bird Shannon, 52 to 53. 1 year old. Pretty neat. It's pretty cool that all these years later, someone cares. Pretty cool. Yeah, the cemetery is a nice and peaceful place. That's kind of why I don't know why everybody's scared to go. Everybody's so scared of the common cold and to stay out of here, that they're willing to make their life living hell. I don't get it. Alright, well, I've talked way too much today. Y'all take care. Bye.